Hello everybody, so I thought we'd do a quite a short video of the joint freeing series so that you can practice this to really get mobility, flexibility, going through all the joints in the body. This is my version of the joint freeing series, so based on Mukunda Styles structural yoga therapy book, but this is my own variation where I've added things in that I particularly like, and I've gone in a different order from him as well. We're going to go from the toes all the way to the top of the neck and down to the fingertips, and we're going to move every single joint in the body. But we're going to go through it quite quickly, and what I invite you to do is if there's any movements that are difficult, challenging, anything that is, you know, you've got an old injury or you've got a weak spot, then I invite you to stop the video, do a few extra rounds and explore that mobility in that joint. So with the intention and the aim of getting all the joints in the body to be equally mobile, flexible and strong. So before we do that, we're just going to take a few breaths. So wriggle into your sit bones, roll your shoulders, tuck your chin, send the crown of the head towards the sky, close your eyes. Bring your whole awareness to your breath. And nice long slow inhale, send the breath down into the belly and to the upper abdomen, then to the chest. So if you're stretching yourself from the inside out, and then slide away the exhale nice and slow through the mouth. This nice little sigh, and feel how when you sigh away that out breath, the shoulders just drop just a little bit closer to the ground, away from the neck and the ears. And I'm going to invite you to do a little count with the breath. This is a really good technique to do if you feel a little bit stressed, anxious, overwhelmed. Really good technique to instantly take the body into relaxation response. So breathing in for a count of 4 and breathing out for a count of 6. So I'll show you how to do the count. We breathe in 2, 3, 4, a little pause. Breathing out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, little pause. Start again on your inhale, see if you can do your own count there. It doesn't matter if it's faster or slower than mine. Take another couple of breaths here. See if you can keep that count going. And just notice how the body really starts to settle, and the mind, once you do that longer exhale. Really good tip, really good technique to remember when you can't sleep at night. Again, if you're starting to feel any negative emotions arising from the belly, come into that 4-6 count breath. Do another couple of rounds while I go onto my mat to get ready for practice today. When you feel ready, drop your chin to your chest, open your eyes and extend your legs out straight in front of you and give the legs a little shake out. So we want to come right onto the top of the sit bones for staff pose. In staff pose, you imagine you're like a big capital L, so you've got a lovely right angle at the hip joints, and you grip the mat with your heels, so the legs aren't floppy and soft, they're active, and we're kind of pulling ourselves up a little bit using the heels. Then we're using the core here in the lower abdomen, and we're rolling the shoulders and we're reaching the crown towards the sky, tucking the chin slightly. And if you can see from the shape of my back, when we sit up tall, we're not trying to straighten the spine. So there's still some gentle curves through my spine, and that's natural, that's how it should be. So we're creating a tall spine. So think like a giraffe and lengthen. Tall, and don't worry about straightening the spine. Now I can feel already these muscles here starting to kick in, and I can feel that my core is helping me to stabilise my lower back. This is really good posture for strength in the back, and it also strengthens the long muscles that travel either side of the spine, the erector spinae, and they help us with our posture as well. To hold this posture for a little bit of movement, we're going to do this with the feet. You might want to lean onto a couple of blocks, this position or this position for the hands. You can bring your hands to soothe fists here. I can't reach the floor here, my arms are too short, so I either need to create fists or lean on a block. Okay, and then we're going to start off our joint freeing series by working on toes. So wriggle toes, give them a little wriggle, and just see if you can squeeze and stretch, stretch them away from each other, create space between the toes, stretch that webbing between the toes. And the toes are really important for your mobility, so really important that we don't forget about the toes in our yoga practice. So how about see if you can move the toes kind of individually, seeing if you can move them, the little toes and the big toes independently, and do the toes in between, can you roll them, or are they quite static? And a good way to get more mobility into the toes is to massage your feet every night with some body lotion or some oil, and really massage into the toes and just get a bit more awareness of the movement of the toes. But for today we're going to squeeze them, and we're going to flatten the tops of the feet, and we're flexing the soles of the feet, and we're curling the toes in, and then we're going to stretch the soles of the feet and flex the ankles and push the toes towards the sky and stretch the toes out. So for all these movements, I'm just going to say to a few repetitions of each. So you can do 6 repetitions of each, but if you want to rattle through this sequence quite quickly, 3 or 4 reps of each is fine. And with this movement you can do 1 foot at a time, or you can do both together. So it doesn't take long just to do 3 or 4 reps of each movement, but if there's anywhere, like I said, that has stiffness in it, then do more than 6. You can go up to like 12 repetitions of the movement. Next movement for the feet is tops of the feet come together. We sort of curl the feet in, and look at the ankle here as you curl your feet, and see if you can get the toes touching and the soles of the feet touching, not using your knees. Just use the movement through the ankle joint to create this movement, and then the movement in the ankle joint to see if you can bring the tops of the feet towards each other. So a few reps of this. This is the movement that we do with the ankles when we walk sideways along a hill. That kind of slightly sideways movement of the ankle joint. And then the next movement for the ankle joint is rotation. So feet a bit wider, flex the calf muscles and rotate the same direction. Sometimes the ankles click and pop, that's okay, by the way. And then see if you can do opposite directions. So right brain, left brain, engaging here as we have to focus on the movements as well. Really integrating the right and the left side of the body. Next movement, we're going to focus on the knees. So pick up your right leg. So hold on to the shin and tuck the heel in. This is called flexion of the knee, and this is extension. So exhale as you squeeze in, inhale as you extend. Use the muscles of the legs as you extend, so that you're only guiding that leg up with your arms. Try to make the legs do the work. A few reps here. And then lower the leg. Pick up the left. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. We want to get the knee extend as much as it can and flex as much as it can, because we're trying to really find this full range of movement through each joint. Lower. Next time we're going to lift up the right leg again, and we're going to think about rotation. How much can we rotate the lower leg? How much rotation do we have in this knee joint? So pick up the foot and see if we can rotate. Keep the other leg active. Keep your back straight as possible. See if we can go both directions and see if it's the same shape or if it's slightly different one way than the other. Let's lower that leg and do the other side. And then notice again, does my right knee and my left knee do the same? Or is there a difference between the two sides? And if so, how can I make that difference come into more of a balanced state? What can I do to create harmony between my right side and my left side? Okay, that's the last movement for the knees. Now the hips. Lean back onto your blocks or the floor. Take the feet wider, drop the toes in and flick them out. So we want to rotate the whole legs. We're working into the hip joints now. So at the top of the leg you've got a ball joint which fits very neatly into a cup socket in the pelvis. So feel how you're just rolling in that ball and cup socket joint, you're creating this rotation. And again, if that feels stiff and tight, you can do loads of these. You can do it when you're watching TV, you can do it sitting in the garden. You can do it and bring these movements into your everyday life as well. Really important that we keep the hips nice and open. Then from here we're going to stretch out the groin because we're going to focus quite a few movements on the hips because quite a lot of people have tight hips. So bring the soles of the feet together. You can put your hands on your knees and rock from side to side. Or you can bring your hands onto the ankles or around the soles of the feet and push the knees towards the floor. And here you can do little butterfly movements like so. If you've been sitting a lot, if you've been doing a lot of Zoom meetings and been sitting a lot when we're all homebound in this lockdown period, then just really focus on getting some movement through the hips. Okay, let's come out. I'm going to turn to face you. Stay where you are. I'm just going to turn myself around. And full cobbler pose is we have a nice tall spine. We reach the crown head towards the sky, really root down through the sit bones, and at the same time we push those knees towards the ground. Close your eyes, a few breaths here. And I can feel a bit of release as I hold. I can feel a little softening going on there. Let's hold another couple of breaths. Release. Bring the knees up and give them a little squeeze and a little rock from side to side. Back of your stomach, please. Let's rock over from side to side. So the next movement we're going to do is lying down. What you might want to do is bring a cushion underneath your head, especially if your chin lifts when you lie down on your back. You might not need a cushion, that's fine. Let's come down here. Experiment if you need the cushion or not. So if when you lie down you tend to lift the chin like so, then it's always a good idea to bring a cushion underneath. And then make sure your back is nice and flat on the floor. Pick up your knees, squeeze the knees in towards the chest. Let's squeeze and hold. Pick up the tailbone, curl the lower back, release. Squeeze and hold. And squeeze and hold. So here we're compressing and contracting the front of the hips and we're opening the back and hip joints. Let's hold here for 3 breaths. Feet together, knees together. You can cross the ankles if that's more comfortable. Moving those shoulders into the floor, tuck the chin. Arms are doing the work here, tugging the knees towards the chest. And then think about a figure of 8. We're going to take each knee out away from each other to create 2 big circles. So the knees are going to come to the shoulders. Then I'm going to really tug on them here to open the groin again. And then as I bring the knees away and together, I'm going to press my lower back into the floor, because here there's a tendency for the lower back to come off the floor. So I'm going to just press down here a little bit to secure my lower back in the ground. So get these circles going now with your breath, and let's move quite quickly. Not too quick, but just get a little bit of movement going, nice fluid movement going through these beautiful hip joints. And this is your full range of movement through the hips. And we don't really do this circular movement in day-to-day life, so really important that we include it in our yoga practice. And it's going to help get the body ready for the sequence that we're going to do in the classes next week. Okay, bring the knees towards the chin. push the knees away from the chin and reverse those circles. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to let go of my knees, and I'm going to see if I can control that with my tongue muscles, the muscles around the hip joints, and really go wide there, creating that mobility, that space in the hip joints. Really feel how you're creating spaciousness and massaging the cartilage, keeping it really healthy and strong. Okay, legs together, push the legs up, give them a shake out. And then drop the feet to the floor. Notice all that feeling of the openness here in the hip. And then we're going to work 2 more movements for the hips, but we need to do those flipping over onto all fours. So roll over to one side. We're going to bring the knees together, touching. Take the hands slightly wider than the shoulders. And squeezing the knees together, squeezing your core, drop the hips to the right. Look down at the floor and keep your head in the centre. Breathe into centre. Breathe out, drop your hips to the left. And do a few rounds here. Stretching through the outside edge of the hip. Lovely. And then we're going to do one more movement for the hips from this position. I'm going to turn the other way. You stay where you are. I'm just going to turn myself this way so you can see. Stay with the knees together. Stay with the hands wider. Sometimes I'm going to do tiger pose. And sometimes in tiger I prefer to come onto fists. So we're not going to worry too much about the head in tiger pose. We want to really focus on the hip joints. Let's extend the right leg. You don't need to point your toes here. You can just keep the foot relaxed. And then lift the right leg as far as it'll lift without this sort of lift and twist. Just lift the leg to open at the front of the hip joint. And then bring the knee through so that we're having to really work that psoas muscle at the front of the hip. And you can get a bit of speed going here with the breath. Inhale. Feel that psoas stretching, and then having to pull in like a piece of elastic to get the knee to come right up. Just feel that. You can feel that front hip flexor really working hard there. Next time the knee comes through, drop the knee down. Change hand position if you need to. Extend the left leg. Reach behind. Lift as high as it'll go without rotating. So we're not going to do this with the hips. Keep the pelvis square. Your sacrum stays parallel to the floor. Breathing in here. Breathe out. Isolate the joint. Don't worry about the head. We normally bring the head as well into tiger, but we're just going to leave the head where it is. Last one. And come off your hands and give your hands a little shake out. Okay. There's another movement you can do here to open up the hips, and we can do pigeon here, and I'll show you a variation in a minute. So pigeon, we can bring the right knee through and slide the left leg back. We can come up here, and we're trying to get right in here, this area here, piriformis muscle. And then we can come onto the elbows if we like, and we can settle here for a few breaths to really open into the hip joint. And if this is really not good for your knee, your right knee, then I'll show you a variation. I'll show you on the left side so you can see what position my leg is in. So when the front leg comes through, you walk your foot across. So you're making a little kind of V shape here with the leg. And I like to have my knee under my chest. Some people like to do it with the knee by the wrist. And then you can stay here if you like. My favourite version is on my elbows here. And then I can slide the back leg back. And now I can feel the opening in my left hip. If that is not accessible to you because you've got delicate knees, roll yourself back over, right leg over left. And we do the same thing with the right leg. I've now got that V shape going here instead. And I'm going to tuck my chin, put a cushion under my head if I need to, and draw the right knee into the chest. Same sensation in the hip, exactly the same sensation, stretching piriformis. So take a few breaths on either of those postures. Either pigeon or lying on your back. Few breaths into the right side. And if you're lying on your back, you can use the breath like we did before. You can breathe in to release that and stretch a little bit, and you can breathe out and create it a little bit deeper. If you're in pigeon and it's too intense on your elbows, walk back onto your hands. Be aware of the position of your neck. Close your eyes and breathe into movement. And whenever you're ready, switch to the other side. If you're in pigeon, come back into child's pose, or you can transition to your dog, but child's pose is nice. You can feel then what's going on in the right hip and compare it to the left. And then do the left side, either left pigeon or cross your left leg over the right if you're on your back. Find your breath here. Inhale, create the space. Exhale, create that squeeze. Inhale, create a bit of space. Exhale, feel the intensity of that stretch. Breathe in. And just notice if the right or the left, which one is tighter. Just notice that. See if you've got anything in your lifestyle that is creating tightness here. It can be, the piriformis muscle can be affected by your position when you're driving. And also getting in and out of a car, that external rotation of the leg when we get out of a car, that's one of the jobs of the piriformis muscle. So if you're always on the driver's seat or the passenger seat, you might find that creates an imbalance in that muscle. The breath. When you feel like you've done the same to each side, come out. If you're in pigeon, come into child's pose. Wiggle yourself into child's pose, and if you're on your back, bring your knees together again and do that knee to chest posture that we did earlier. And then we've done all the movements for the hips now. So now we're going to bring our awareness from the hip joints all the way up the spine to the top of the back. And then we're going to work on the 7 vertebrae that are in the neck, the cervical spine. But first of all, let's work the whole spine. Please have a sip of water as we're going through the class. Okay, so we're going to come back to this all fours posture here. So, my favourite way of doing cat and cow pose, which is what we're going to do now to extend and flex the spine, is to move from the tailbone to the top of the neck. So often in some schools of yoga, cat and cow is kind of flexed, hinged from the middle of the spine like this. But in Drew Yoga that I'm trained in, we do it in a flowing spinal wave. So we're going to pick up the tailbone and drop the belly, and then let the ribs soften towards the floor, and then lift the chin, extend and open the throat, keep the neck long. And this is spinal extension. We're focusing on lengthening the spine here. And then we keep the head still and we tuck the tail under, tilt the pelvis backwards, pick up the lower back, mid back, upper back, and then finally we tuck the chin, and that's an exhale, and this is called spinal flexion. Pick up the tail, inhale, leave your head where it is, roll the spine into a stretch for extension, tuck under the tail and round the spine as you breathe out. And thinking about the joints, we're thinking about all the vertebra in your spine is a joint. So each vertebra has a joint either side of it, connecting it to the next vertebra. So we're moving all the joints in the spine here. We've got 5 lumbar vertebra around the waist area, 12 thoracic vertebra that are connected to the ribs. And then we're going to look individually at the neck, the cervical spine in a moment. One more inhale. Extension, reach the tail and the crown away from each other. On one exhale, flexion, tuck the tail and crown towards each other, and then come to a flat back. Core gently engaged here. We want to always protect the lower back. So we're not, neutral spine isn't like this. Neutral spine is like this with the tummy tucked up. From here we're going to do a side bend. So walk to the right. Keep your knees where they are. Keep your legs where they are. Keep the hips where they are. Walk yourself round. Walk yourself round and find a curl through the spine. Look at the space between your hands and hold. Feel the opening through the left side of the body as you curl the spine into lateral flexion. I think I can go a little bit more. Often when we've held a stretch for about 3 breaths, we often find a bit more space. So we use that space to go a bit deeper. Let's come back to the middle. Before we do the other side, see if you can feel the difference between the right side and the left side of the body. And then walk the hands to the left. As far as you can go without tilting the hips or the legs. Keep the pelvis where it is. 3 breaths here, and then see if you can go a little bit further to find a little bit more stretch on that side, and breathe here. And then when you come back, walk your hands back, come back to centre, find your all fours position, and again just go through a little bit of cat and cow. Cat pose. We call this in schools, they call it angry cat, and then we call this cow pose in schools, we call this happy cat. Happy cat, angry cat. Okay. So now let's think about that the spine also does a rotation. So a simple rotation is just to drop the right elbow down to the ground and push your left hand down so that the left shoulder comes up. Breathing in, bring the hand back to neutral. Breathing out, drop the left elbow, push up the right shoulder, back to centre, and you can rock from side to side here. Keep the tops of your feet connected to the ground, keep your knees and your pelvis steady, engage your core, keep your spine straight as you rotate it. If you want to go into a posture that's a little bit more stronger for a twist, you can do a weaving cat here. So I'll show you from the left side so I can face you, but we usually start with the right side. The hand comes past the wrist, and then as you slide the hand through the elbow and the shoulder come down, and then we can relax here, or we can push the opposite shoulder up to get the twist. And it's nice to stay for a few breaths and work into that shoulder girdle rotation. I'll just demonstrate on the other side so you might be able to see what happens as I go down. Keep the core engaged so that your pelvis is supported, lower back supported. And there's loads of different ways of twisting the spine, but from this position, those are the 2 that we're going to do today. So do a few more reps, whichever variation. You can always do a few of the easy ones and then go into the twist, the weaving cat, and then come back and do a couple of these again. And then let's take the weight off the wrists. Give the wrists a little squeeze. Okay, so now we're going to come to kneeling to do some movements for the hands, wrists, and shoulders. If kneeling is not good for your knees, either support yourself with a little cushion or a block. And if this is painful for the knees, please don't stay in this position. Please come to sitting cross-legged. So find a block or a cushion, find a cross-leg position. You can slide a cushion underneath your hips as well. Just going to put some more ghee on my candle. Have a sip of water. Tune into how you're feeling so far. So we've worked the toes, the ankles, the knees, the hips, and the spine. Oh, I forgot the neck. We're going to do the neck first before we go on to the wrists and hands. Good job, like my little checklist there. So, let's think about the neck. 7 vertebrae in the neck, and let's move them independently of the rest of the spine. So to do that, we want to engage the core here, so that the shoulders can relax, and then we can really focus on the neck on its own. I'm going to turn this way. Okay. Start off by dropping the chin into the hollow of the throat, and make sure that you've got your core engaged here so that the shoulders don't move. Lift the head up, lift the throat, but don't crunch the back of your neck. Keep your neck long. Breathing out, drop the chin. Breathing in, lift the head. Breathing out, drop the chin, squeeze into the hollow of the throat. Breathe in, create space in the throat, but keep the neck long. Next time we come to centre, make that the last one. Side bend is next, so over to the right. Breathe in and drop to the left. Now, if we've got the core engaged, we can keep the shoulders really still. If we haven't got the core engaged, we might find we do this. We don't want to do that, so keep the tummy tucked in and isolate the neck. So you can keep going from side to side with the breath, or you can come over here, bring the right arm up and place the hand over the ear. I really like this posture. Keep your hand here to remind you to keep your core engaged, and just let the weight of the right hand ease the head over to create a stretch from the ear to the top of the shoulder. Keep the nose pointing forwards. We're not rotating the head at all here. And then release that. Bring the head up. Feel the difference in the right and left side. And then left ear to left shoulder. Left arm wraps around the head. Hand on the ear. There's a wasp in the room. You might hear that buzzing. It goes out the window. And we're not pulling, we're not tugging. The weight of the arm is enough to do the work here. Oh, that's such a good stretch. Up and inhale, and then lift the head. Oh, that feels nice. Roll the shoulders if you need to. Rotation, turn the head to the right. Keep that core engaged, bring the head to centre. Keep your chin parallel to the floor as you rotate around to the left. Inhale, exhale. Inhale to centre, squeeze, exhale. Inhale and exhale, last one. Arms in front like so. Turn the palms to face each other. Squeeze the fists in, tuck in your thumbs, and then think about all the joints in the fingers and the thumbs. How we need to keep those flexible and strong. Thumbs in and fist like so. Let's see if we can take the hands into same direction rotations. My right and my left always feel quite different when I do this, because I'm right-handed, so I feel like I've got more movement, more subtle movement through my right wrist. Just notice if that's the same for you. And then for some reason it's a lot easier to go in opposite directions. The brain seems to prefer opposite directions for some reason. So get that movement going as well. Notice any stiffness there. And if there is, then you can come back and do some more of these, or you can pause the video and do some more of these. Okay, last movement for the wrists, palms up, and then flex. Extension. This wrist, here's this part of the wrist we're talking about, that's extension, and this is flexion. Extension, flexion, extension, flexion. And then there's another movement that hands do, which is this movement, which is like waving. So imagine you're the queen and you're just waving to everybody. We're going to turn the fingers in, move the fingers away from each other. Turn the palms up, little fingers in now, little fingers away. For some reason that's a little bit more awkward. Through the elbows into the shoulders. So the ones that are more awkward and harder, we do more of those. And shake. Okay, elbows. Elbows flex and elbows extend. Elbows flex and they extend. Exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. Elbows also rotate, just like the knee joint. So how much rotation have we got on the right arm? Support the right elbow with your left hand and go both directions. It's got more movement than the knee, for me anyway. I feel like I can get a much bigger circle than I can with my knee joint on the other side. Remember that expression, if you don't use it, you lose it. So let's keep our joints really fluid and flexible and strong, so that when we come into our yoga postures, we've got this lovely balance through the left side of the body, the right, through every single joint in the body. Okay, elbows. Now let's think about shoulders. Hands back onto the shoulders and bring the elbows together. Take the elbows wide and inhale. Try to keep your spine really straight as you do this, so that you isolate the shoulders. Don't arch the back or curl the back here or hollow the spine. Keep the spine really straight, and we do that by keeping the core engaged in the lower abdomen. Exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. And that is preparing us for some movements like the camel posture, for example, uses that movement for the shoulders. So all of these are building up to be able to do some of the full yoga postures in our next classes next week. Okay, so another nice movement for the shoulders is to same thing with the hands, but this time create circles. Elbows come towards each other and then take them wide, and just get a few nice big circles here. And I always find there's quite a lot of crunching when we do this, so don't worry if you can hear crunching going on, like you've got a packet of cornflakes in your shoulders. That's quite normal. Other way. Okay. And then release. Next movement focuses on the shoulder joints. So the shoulder joint is like the hip. You have a socket and then you have this ball that goes in. So we want to really move this ball. So we've just done that like this. This movement creates this movement for the ball. But we also want to do this movement. We want to really rotate right into that joint to keep all those ligaments and the muscles around that joint really supple. So one movement for that is you bring your arms out to the side 45 degrees, turn your palms up and take that rotation all the way up to the shoulder joint. Not just like this with the arm and the elbow, not like that, all the way into the joint and then all the way back the other way. Breathing in as we open, breathing out as we come the other way. Breathing in, and it's quite a subtle movement, but you really want to feel that this socket at the top of the arm is rolling. Okay, and then we can do a little twist here. Keep the right hand up and the left hand down. Keep the head pointing forwards. Isolate. And reach. Twist and then reach. Twist and then reach. That's a nice variation as well. Turn the head if you like and reach. Do a few where you turn the head and reach. So get the rotation and then stretch through. So if you're tying a knot, stretch. And then bring the hands down to the floor and give them a shake out. Another one for that joint there in the shoulder is arms up as if you're stopping the traffic, and then down. Breathing in, fingers point directly up. Breathing out, fingers point directly down. Don't overextend there. Directly up, directly down. Cores engaged, so we're not lifting the shoulders up to the ears. And then let's try again a little asymmetrical. One movement for the shoulders. I'm going sideways so you can see. So this one you really need to do kneeling or high kneeling or standing. You can't really do it cross-legged because you want to swing the hands very close to the hips. So this is training for tree pose and warrior. Arms up, and then the arms come all the way back and behind without splaying them out to the side. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Breathing in. Keep the bodies really still so that you isolate the shoulders. So not like this. Don't curl the spine. Good again. Notice how the shoulder blades have to get out of the way for you to do that movement. Okay, last one. And then relax. And then just focus on the shoulder blades for a minute. Let's see if we can take the shoulder blades into their full range of movement. So if you roll your backs of your hands together and open up the space between the shoulder blades, and then squeeze them together and just gently lift the chest a little bit without hollowing here into the lower back. Focus on that upper third of the spine. Out breath, in breath, lift the chin a little bit to help you. Out breath, in breath. Open the shoulder blades, squeeze them together. Take them as wide apart as you can. See if you can touch them together. Okay, last one. Then we're going to come on to cross leg position for the last few movements in the joint freeing series. Okay, so same thing as we've just done, so similar. Squeeze the shoulder blades together, lift the chest, pull the shoulder blades away from each other, but now include the whole spine as we tuck the tailbone round. And a little wriggle here. Inhale, like a sitting cat. Exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Come to center. Nice tall spine. Right hand to the floor. I'm staying sideways so you can watch the side bend now. And we do a true side bend. We just curl the spine over like so. We don't drop the shoulder in and we don't drop the shoulder back. So see if you can create a true side bend over to the right, nose points forwards, breathing in up, breathe out over to the left. And this trains the body for some of the warrior postures and the triangle pose. Finding this true side bend. Lateral flexion for the spine. Up on the inhale, over on the exhale. Up on the inhale, over on the exhale. Let's pause here and bring the left arm all the way up and over. Keep the left arm above the head. And bend the right elbow and take 3 breaths here. You can turn your head to look up if you like, or have the nose pointing forwards. Push your left sit bone into the ground. Up on the in breath. Notice how tempting it is to go, when you want to go deeper, is to do this with the upper arm. And you keep it here, so you're in a true side bend. Okay, other side. Over, go to the left. Settle, bend the left elbow, right arm up and over. Keep that right arm above your right ear. 3 breaths here. Push the right sit bone into the ground. Push the sit bone one way, push the fingertips the other way. Stretch. Create space. Up on the inhale and arm down on the exhale. And pull the shoulders. Okay, last movement. Sit and twist. I'm going to cross my elbows, bend my elbows and cross my arms across my chest. I'm going to utilise these muscles here around the waist to do a twist. Rather than, we can twist like this, but most of the effort is in my arms here. If I take my arms out of the equation and breathe in, I've got to use my toe muscles to create a twist to the right. Breathe into centre, breathe out to the left. 2 more of these. Okay, do 1 more to the right. Bring the hands down. Go a little bit deeper. Use the arms now. You can use the arms now. And 3 breaths here. Push a bit deeper. And a bit deeper. Inhale. Cross the arms back over. I'm going to put my left arm on top now, breathing in. Twist the left, hands down. I can go much deeper when I use my arms. Notice that, how much further around you can go. And 3 breaths here. And to centre. And then we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to cross the legs the way that they don't like to be crossed. So just bring your legs to the other position. Right arm on top of the left, breathing in. Rotate to the right, hands down, and 3 breaths here. Just notice how different that is in the hips when we cross the legs, the way that's a bit more awkward for us. Inhale, come back. Cross the arms, left hand on top of the right, lengthen, inhale. Squeeze your toe muscles as you come round, exhale, hands down. Rotate, 3 breaths here. Inhale, come back to centre. Bring your legs back. Roll your shoulders. Tall spine. Close your eyes. And then I invite you to just come into Shavasana. Lie yourself down, cushion under your head if that's helpful for you, or under the thighs if that's helpful for you as well. Roll your feet away from each other, roll your arms away from the body. And settle here. I'm just going to put a block under my thighs. A few minutes here, just letting all of those movements integrate, all those movements really find their benefit deep inside the body. Tuck your chin, relax those shoulder blades, and find your breath. Let's come back to the 4-6 breaths. So breathing in to a count of 4. Pause at the end of the inhale. Breathe out, long, slow exhale to a count of 6. Find your own rhythm, find your own count. Nice to sigh with the out breath a few times as your body settles. And whenever you're ready to let that breath go, let your breath come to a natural, soft, gentle rhythm. 3 or 4 minutes here, just settling and letting the body come to complete stillness. So stay for another minute or so. Just invite you to scan your body and see how you're feeling. Bring your whole awareness to your toes. How are your toes? The feet, the ankles, the knees. Feel into the area around the hip joints, lower back, mid back, upper back, shoulder blades, shoulders, elbows, wrists, fingers, thumbs, neck, face, jaw, eyes, scalp, and the head. So you can feel a dull vibration, a pulsation moving through your body. Visualize new channels being created and space being created for energy to flow, blood to move freely, unhindered, and the detoxing system of your body also to move freely around the body. Tune into your heartbeat. Tune into your breath, the most precious gift. Every breath a precious gift. And have a sense of gratitude for your amazing body. And this practice of yoga that we can work with the body in this way. And we can find little anomalies and little discrepancies, and we can work with old injuries, and we can find new pathways. So wriggle your fingers now, wriggle your toes. Pick your knees up, give yourself a little rock from side to side. And then roll yourself over to one side, come up to sitting. Namaste. I hope you enjoyed that joint freeing series. Practice it often and notice the difference it makes to your whole flexibility and suppleness the more you do it. Okay, lots of love. Namaste.